CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Well, there isn't a protest yet, but people on Denman Island are angry. Last night they had a chance to meet with BC Ferries executives to vent their spleen about the plans to implement a cable ferry service. They packed the room and they waved signs and are demonstrating against the plans to replace the conventional vessel on the Buckley Bay to Denman run. Ferries says the plan will save it millions of dollars, but many Denman Islanders are furious. They say the plan will backfire and they're worried about their safety and the service.
The risk that you're facing is financial. There might be a gain, financial. It's all financial. For us, it's not financial. This is people's lives. These are our children. This is safety.
They talked about the concern of where the ferry would be home ported, the ability for emergency services. They were concerned about an alternate service provider under the ferry contract, and here to give them the information on that in regards to that. And just the hows and the whys, and try and answer some more of those questions for them.
About 85 people turned out for the public meeting. BC Ferries says it's going to build the vessel for the cable run. There's no guarantee, though, that it'll be built in British Columbia. It will also need to construct new terminals to accommodate the new style of ferry. A Nanaimo man and his dog have an RCMP officer in the Comox Valley to thank for saving their lives. He rescued them wet and shivering from the raging waters of the Puntledge River. It happened just before 9 o'clock last night. The dog went into the water first, and the man decided to go in after and rescue it. He tied a hose around himself and had another man alongside the riverbank hold on as he plunged into the icy water. But he was losing his grip and hope just as the RCMP officer arrived.
I thought he was gone, and it's my mother's dog. It's the last thing I've got of my mother's, so I thought, oh, I lost the dog too,
And thankfully, our Sergeant Higginson had some rope in the back of his truck. He's our dog handler. And they were able to successfully lower Corporal Bacchus down. And then, once again, the help from the fire department as well and the local ambulance and search and rescue.
The officer pulled the man and his dog to safety using his own rope and ladder. The man says if he was on his own, either he would have died or his dog would have, or possibly both. A second beheaded sea lion has been discovered along the east coast of Vancouver Island. The first one we showed you found earlier this week on a Comox Valley beach, and now there's a second one that has turned up on a beach in Campbell River. We want to give you a little warning that the pictures we're about to show you of the sea lion are graphic. The Department of Fisheries wants you to take a look, though, in case you can get some clues. It's hoping it can get some help from you to find out who is targeting sea lions in the area. The first was killed by gunshot wounds, then decapitated. It isn't clear just yet how the second one has died. DFO says the shootings happen several times a year, and they depend on witnesses to help them track down whoever is responsible for doing this. Disturbing information is emerging about a student at Simon Fraser University who is convicted of killing and mutilating an animal. Her name is Kayla Burke. She's 22 years old, and search warrants obtained by CTV News indicate she could be a danger to people, just as she is slated to be released from prison in about 2 months. The documents outline multiple reports by people who claim that she told them of her desire to kill people. The police records say Burke fantasized about killing people since childhood. Investigators say she told her friends she wants to get a gun and kill homeless people, wanted to kill her mother and younger brother, and wrote that murder is a hobby and a supreme pleasure. Burke is also believed to have a number of online personas. She came to the attention of authorities after a fellow student came forward telling police that she admitted to killing animals and wanted to target people.
And this was a quite spectacular case. It's probably the wrong word, but it was an outstanding case. Probably the worst one that I've ever come across, and I've been sitting in this chair for 15 years.
She was attending criminology school not to be a police officer, but to learn how not to get caught. Police executed a search warrant at her university residence in March, and they found what they describe as a kill kit containing a knife and syringe, restraints, black gloves, and a demon mask. Burke has been sentenced to 3 years probation. She has served some jail time. Her sentence is up in 2 months. The Vancouver Island Health Authority has been named one of the top 100 employers in Canada. Again, it's the 4th year in a row that V has been named to that list of the top 100, and it is the only health authority on the list. MediaCorp Canada decides who makes the cut and says V is being recognized for its ability to retain its staff, its support for training and skills development, and its salary and benefits program. The federal finance minister came to Victoria today to start a series of roundtable discussions leading up to next year's federal budget. Jim Flaherty says he is committing to his position as federal finance minister until the budget is balanced, and says the goal is to have that achieved by the next federal election in the spring of 2015. In order to make that happen, though, Flaherty says the federal government must tighten its belt on spending, including keeping strict rules on mortgage and housing.
I think we need more prudence, more restraint in the residential real estate market for this reason, that we have avoided a boom in Canada, which leads to a bust, as we've seen in Ireland, Spain, and other countries. And I want to avoid that in our country, everywhere in our country.
Analysts say Canada's economic growth is slower than the Bank of Canada projected by about a third, but they say interest rate hikes are unlikely until 2014. The government says Canadians can also join in on the countrywide consultation leading up to the budget by doing so online. Meantime, thousands of people are rallying again in Egypt's Tahrir Square. They are denouncing the decree giving the Egyptian president sweeping powers. Many in Cairo also speaking out against the new constitution. It gives Muslim clerics influence over legislation and restricts freedom of speech and women's rights. Islamists approved the document without any outside input. It must now be approved by a national referendum within 30 days. A train derailed in southern New Jersey today, and it spilled hazardous chemicals, causing a problem for people in the area. There are reports a rail bridge over a creek collapsed. That hasn't been confirmed. It may be the results of Hurricane Sandy. Vinyl chloride, a highly toxic and flammable industrial chemical, spilled from at least one of the derailed cars. Several contractors working in the area complained of respiratory troubles. People living nearby were told to stay inside and keep their windows shut. Well, that's one sign of the season, and in less than a month, Santa will be here on Vancouver Island. Can you believe it's December already tomorrow? The old guy made an early appearance last night, though, in Ladysmith. The jolly old elf flipped the switch to mark the start of the town's 25th annual Festival of Lights. More than 15,000 people filled the streets of Ladysmith last night for the kickoff of the festive event. The lights stretch as far as the eyes can see in Ladysmith's historic downtown area. Buildings and trees and lamp posts decked out with more than 200,000 bulbs, strung up by more than 200 volunteers.
When we put the lights in the trees 3 weeks ago, we had 160 people come out. Since September, we've had volunteers coming out, putting new bulbs in, new garland on the decorations, putting the decorations on the roofs. It's just a whole community effort to make this the event that it has turned into over the past 25 years.
It's pretty.
The lights, yeah. The lights and fireworks.
They're awesome, yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's good times. Kids love it, and, you know, just get to see Santa. How can you beat it?
Santa wasn't the only star of the show, though. There was another special guest at last night's festivities. Elvis took to the stage, performing for the crowd just before the parade made its way down First Avenue. And in Victoria, the green will turn to white, and you can expect that the boards will take flight in Centennial Square tomorrow. The city of Victoria is having a snow day Saturday from 1 till 5, transforming this bit of concrete jungle into a winter wonderland. The event is free. It'll include some carnival-style snow games, ice carving, and some free samples of maple taffy, courtesy of the Vancouver Island Victoria Francophone Society. Well, people in Victoria were mixing and mingling, and there was a lot of jingling going on with a huge donation at a holiday fundraiser last night from an island family that has set a standard for giving. $1 million was raised last night at the BC Cancer Foundation's Jingle Mingle Soiree at the Fairmont Empress Hotel, and half the money raised last night came from one woman, a $500,000 gift from Joe Campbell. The other $500,000 was raised through the silent and live auction events.
This money goes towards research and integral projects at the Cancer Foundation. The government doesn't fund research and the work that's being done, the leading edge research. So this money goes towards that and other projects that are very important to people on Vancouver Island.
The money was donated in memory of the family patriarch, Alex Campbell. The Campbell family has given a great deal of money over the years to the Cancer Foundation. If you'd like to make a donation, you can log on to bccancerfoundation.com. And the Mustard Seed is getting ready to launch its 14th annual Spirit of Giving campaign, and that fundraiser is getting off to a splashy start. More than 24 brave members of Viatech plunged into the waters off Fisherman's Wharf today as a fundraiser for the Mustard Seed. The Harbor Hop raised more than $11,000, a strong start to a campaign that the Mustard Seed will kick off tomorrow at the Bay Centre in downtown Victoria.
This time of year is our most important fundraising time of the year, and this Spirit of Giving is one of our largest fundraisers. Also, we have other gift wrapping stations in the Mayfair Centre, at Tillicum Centre and Hillside Centre as well, so they're also part of the overall Spirit of Giving campaign.
Over its 14-year history, the Spirit of Giving campaign has raised nearly $3 million in cash and food donations for the mustard seed. The food bank says its annual campaign is always important, but this year more so than ever. Donations are down 20% since 2010, but the need continues to rise. There's a dozen empty shipping containers in Vancouver being given a new lease on life as part of the first housing project of its kind in Canada. The containers were lifted by crane into place this afternoon on Vancouver's downtown east side. When they're finished, they'll create a dozen affordable housing units for women in need. The first tenants are expected to move in this spring. Half of these units will be reserved for women over the age of 55 who will pay just $375 a month for rent. The rest will be for younger women who pay about 30% of the market rate. A 50-year-old man is expected to make a full recovery after he was hit by a car while crossing Terminal Avenue in Nanaimo. The man was unconscious when he was rushed to NRGH late yesterday afternoon. He's the third pedestrian hit in Nanaimo in less than a week, and it has RCMP again stressing the importance of pedestrians and cyclists to wear protective clothing and to make eye contact with drivers.
It's extremely disconcerting. We've had a rash of serious incidents in the last several weeks. Our office takes this extremely serious. We're working closely with the City of Nanaimo and our provincial partners. We're going to be striking up a task force to look at this and working with the groups to figure out what's the best way to get the message across to the public.
Traffic analysts and Nanaimo RCMP are still investigating. They say it's too soon to say if charges will be laid in yesterday's accident.